I am officially set up, so whatever you,
Okay.
whenever you're good, I guess we can start this. I,
I'm gonna minimize the actual uh, Discord stuff because I don't think I'm going to need it, right?
yeah, I normally when I'm doing something like this, I just go to hide chat. It makes it easier just to see what I'm actually looking for, but that
Okay.
is up to you. Oh, an important thing.
All right.
To say your
Yeah.
name for this, it would be blurred words.
Yes. Blurred words.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Yeah. No. No problem. Okay. I don't see it. I'm just gonna minimize it. Okay. So I'm sharing the screen.
Great.
Um, you just tell me when to start, and then I'll go to roster and whatever.
All
I'll go
right.
where you tell me.
Okay, so before we get in this, obviously I see level 75, I see Taskmaster, a whole lot of unused energy. That's a different issue, of course, but what do you say
Uh-oh,
the
now you're
biggest
hold on, now
questions
you're
are?
starting to go in and out. Hold on. Okay, say that again.
Did you say I was cutting in and out?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. I actually wrote a few down. Okay.
Okay.
The thing is, I started playing this game a while ago, but I didn't really have any insight to how it worked. I'm a superhero fanatic.
Right.
So I saw superheroes and I just went all in. And, I love the Defenders Netflix series. So it's like, oh my gosh, the Defenders. So I jumped on them. And there were sporadic characters that I liked. So I was getting this character and that character. I didn't know anything about legendaries. And so I started making the Guardians. That was like the first solid team that I got, and then finally I got him high enough to where I could get to a Star Lord, and so that was my first legendary that I got. But even though that happened, I still didn't really have a good comprehension about resource management and whatnot. So I've got like these sporadic characters just kind of all over the map. I mean, I was, I spent a few bucks. I got Emma. I got symbiote. But the thing is, when it came to like getting Black Bolt, I didn't have my Asgardians up high enough, and
Right.
so because I didn't get Black Bolt, then I didn't get Ebony Maw. I started working on my humans, but I didn't get Black Bolt, so I couldn't get Ebony Maw, and I didn't have the what was it, the Mystics controller, whatever, to get Phoenix, so I missed Phoenix, and so I've been trying to trying to figure out who I needed to up to get what I needed to get. Right
Okay.
now, I just finally got a couple of 13 tier folks, so I started working on the Dark Dimensions too.
Okay. All right.
And
First
so
off,
I guess here's one more thing.
all right.
The other thing was, like I was telling you, because I'm a superhero fanatic, and I'm a blurred. When I saw the Wakandans, I just fell for them. So I threw all my chips in trying to make sure I got the Wakandans, and so I got them. And I'm wondering, is it a waste to try to finish filling them out, or do I? Because I think I got Shuri uh, pretty far because from what I've been seeing that she's got a lot of utility, but it seems like everybody else is kind of falling off. So I'm wondering, do I still invest in the Wakandans? Do I forget about them and try to get symbiotes or Sinister Six and that kind of thing?
Okay.
That's kind of where I am.
Okay. First off,
All
great
right.
reason to join the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a massive superhero fan myself. Um, and honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
downloaded the game at first because I love superheroes, and I was falling asleep inside in my class, and I just needed something to keep me awake for the rest of the class, and that is how my playing of the game started. And I was like, it's okay. I'm just gonna play until I get Captain America. Then I'll play with him for like a week, and then I'll stop. Here I am over 2 years later,
Mm-hmm.
so that didn't really go as according to plan. But to answer roughly speaking, um, about the
Mm-hmm.
Wakandans, it really does depend on what levels you have characters built up to. While it's a very good thing to generalize and give general advice, which is always good, sometimes that advice won't be the best,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how people are. Like, if you're meaning like, do I think you should bring all of your Wakandans to tier 15 to run Dark Dimension 4 when it comes out? Probably not. Now, if you're meaning like they're in blue gear, do I spend the effort to get them to tier 9 so at least I have a full team? There's different levels of that. You are also saying that you were a little short. Okay, so that is actually a pretty functional Wakandan team, assuming you have all the T3 abilities, like the purple ability materials. So if you have them at least 6664, okay. Yeah, you have the important ones there. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay, that's. And then it's just Killmonger. You have the fundamentals to make a good Wakandan team. Not an elite Wakandan team. I am one of the few people out there that still uses my Wakandan team very well built up. And that's just because I like the team. They're fun to use. But I will say, if you're expecting, if you go and you invest a bunch of orange gear, a bunch of abilities into this team, you will make them better. But you will not make them, they will not improve to a level that other teams would improve to. For a time, I used them as a war offense team for a very long time. When people were like saying, "Oh, they're not a great raid team," I'm like, "Well, they do work really well for war offense, but even that time is kind of starting to go beyond. They're a good-ish war defense team, depending on who's facing you, because people don't really know what to do with them. But for something that is circumstantial at best, I wouldn't recommend going and doing. Obviously, I would say farm them up, like get to the 7 stars when you can. Don't do that at the risk of missing a legendary. But even the Chaos Theory event has a fair amount of value. But yeah, the only other T4 that I would even think of would be Black Panther's passive, just because it's such a good general ability. But at this point, there's not a whole lot of use to it, so you really don't need it. It's just, it was actually like the first ever T4 I did on my account. It was Black Panther passive, then Thanos passive, then Miss Marvel passive were my first 3. And that's just because it does make them more reliable, but it's not necessary at this point. The other one that may eventually need to happen, but the goal is to not need that to happen.
I guess
is the Shuri basic. Hopefully not, though.
Yeah, I'm just looking at them and I'm like, okay, so do I invest some resources to get them all up to say at least 60K? You know, because Killmonger's not even at 50. Do I, that, or because I like them? It's like you said, I like them, and playing them in the game is fun for me. And the other thing is that they're still one of my highest teams with synergy that I have. Right. So do I wasn't sure, should I, like you said, just farm, or do I say, well, because they're one of the highest teams I got, do I invest more time into them, or do I just say, you know what, they had their time and I guess maybe I missed it, and so there's other things that I need to put more priority on?
Well, for the pure benefit of getting ahead in the game, it would be more strategic to focus heavier elsewhere. I'm never going to criticize someone for building up characters, even if it's not the best, most efficient thing, if it's what they enjoy to do in the game. It is, at the end of the day, a game. Not all of the content creators would be very happy hearing me say this, but at the end of the day, build up whoever you want. It is a game for that. And again, even just for a lot of things, I do my best. I put out a lot of guides. I put out full beginner's guides on ways that people should tackle this game from the very beginning to the very end. But I know very well, if you do that, sure, you can probably get the fastest jump in the game. And I am glad to share that guide. I even have an infographic that's not even shared yet. But at the same point, when I started this game, the character I most built was Winter Soldier. It does not follow my guide at all. I just liked Winter Soldier. So it's understandable. But if you're going for pure efficiency, Wakanda is really not the way to go about it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's get off of that. And
just all
Okay.
What do you say? We go top to bottom and just see just what we see, and then we
Yep.
can.
That works for me.
Usually, by the time you get to the bottom, you kind of realize, oh, here's the big things, but you can usually find some things beforehand. First things I'm seeing right now are actually the things that you mentioned already. Was you do have a hefty Guardians, including Drax and Drax doesn't really have a ton of use anymore, unfortunately. The Defenders don't really have a ton of use anymore, unfortunately. The characters, you said you're just starting Dark Dimension 2, so I can already see that's you got Shuri, Rocket, and Groot there, and is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure that my colors were right and that wasn't purple. Oh, is that also Iron Fist? Okay, that's an interesting choice. Probably not doing a whole lot.
That was the thing. It was again. I can't remember exactly. No, I think I just got Iron Fist because he was the closest. I was like, okay, I gotta get, I gotta get some guys to tier 13. So who am I gonna get? And he was the easiest for me to do.
Right.
It's like Drax and I think I got Mantis was my last one because I thought, because I got Groot and Rocket, maybe I can get the Guardians there, and so. That's where Drax, it was like I was trying to pick between Drax and Mantis. Okay, so who do I pick? And so I picked Mantis, and Drax is sitting there right on the edge. And but then Iron Fist, I guess because their origins are different. Iron Fist, I had everything, and it was just like boom, 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 and then that was that.
He appears to be your only mystic there. I will be honest, that team might take a bit of time to get through there.
That's okay. I have noticed that.
Shuri is actually a great choice. Yeah. You made a great choice with Shuri there. Not only because DD2, but at this point, she is one of the most recommended characters for Dark Dimension 3, just because she's a origin that's not super necessary, and she's one of the few fixes for one of the most annoying nodes you will ever encounter in your life, which is the infamous node 7 of Dark Dimension 3. I didn't bring Shuri up initially and got stuck on that node until I brought Shuri up. And if you get stuck, you usually have to do the basic on Shuri too, which is just annoying and feels like a massive waste. So bringing Shuri up to help with Dark Dimension 2 is really good. Groot was actually a huge help in Dark Dimension 2. Now he doesn't really... At this point, unfortunately, your Guardians are at the highest, most usefulness you'll ever get out of them. After this point, once you unlock Ultron, you finish Dark Dimension 2, you're probably going to be going towards like Ultimus 7 after that point, usually. Just randomly guessing. That's the exact moment where the Guardians with Rocket, Star-Lord, Groot go from very, very useful to not doing a whole lot. Unfortunately.
That's my luck.
Groot, ironically, has a bit of use on Ultimus 7, mostly as like a holdover character, because his death proof is surprisingly useful, especially when paired with Ultron. But unfortunately, the top 2 rows, the only character you're really going to be getting significant use of going forward will be Shuri after this point. They all can do things here and there, but they will not be the backbones of your roster. At least. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times in war, my highest team is the Guardians, and so I'm looking in war, and I'm almost feeling like I can't really contribute when it comes to hitting the higher the teams, because it's just like, okay, well, even though the Guardians have synergy, it's just they can't beat the synergy of these lower teams like the Mercenaries or even Hydra or Shield. They, teams that are 50K lower than my Guardians just still whop the floor with them.
Well, they'll kill you. They'll kill your defenders.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to figure a direction, and so that's one reason why I was hoping this will help me to say, okay, you know what, you kind of hit this plateau with these guys, but with these, here's some suggestions about this direction and this direction, and then one team that I thought about was power armor. And
Okay.
so I was thinking about them.
All right. Just something I'm noticing. Again, this is just your top heroes, but every single character you have up here is level 75. You are going to
Hmm.
run out of gold and training mats very, very fast if you bring all the characters that you're really building up to level 75. But we'll see how this looks
Okay.
going down the roster to kind of see. One bit of advice is for leveling characters, go in kind of like increments. Like
Hmm.
if you're just wanting to unlock the character and get some abilities done and you don't want them to be level 1, I bring them up to level 45.
Hmm.
After that, if it's a character that you want to
Okay.
build a team with, but you're not planning on using this team for the main content, so like a blitz team, a bit of war usage, I recommend level 60,
Hmm.
tier 9 ish. Um, Beyond
Okay.
that, for characters you want to get to tier 13, obviously you're going to get to 70. And if you're using it as a main team, you might want to bump it to 71. The reason for that is they have a really, really disproportionately large stat jump between level 70 and 71. For level
Okay.
75, the only characters that I recommend bringing up that high would be the ones that you're going to be using, like your main arena team if you need it, your main raid team if you need it, and characters that you're planning for Dark Dimension 3. So, right now on the screen, the only. Yeah, you can maybe Groot, but the only real ones that I could technically say. I probably have more, but that I would recommend if I were starting over and bringing leveling all my characters up right now. The only character I see on the screen that I would have brought to 75 is Shuri.
Okay.
Right. And you mentioned Power Armor. Power Armor is a good
Hmm.
team. The issue with Power Armor is they're kind of faceted for one specific purpose. While it seems
Okay.
like you're going to use them on war offense and they'll be great, you're not going to get a ton of use outside of war offense with your Power Armor team. So there's probably other characters that you can build up. Maybe not even full teams that will be a little better at saving your resources, so you can do more things overall with fewer characters, basically.
Okay.
Okay, so here we got Baku. Yeah, we have a lot of high level characters, like for the amount of leveling that was put into them. Spider Man, a character that I do personally love, kind of every day getting less and less of a home to play on, but
Hmm.
he's
That
also.
was one of the first characters that I was playing
Yep.
with, and so I was focused on defenders, and it was between him and Punisher, and so I was just I like I said, I didn't really. I don't want to say I didn't. Well, I will say I didn't really have a good concept of how the game really works, and
Right.
so superheroes, loving it, superhero combat. Okay, here's a guy like, okay, this team. Oh my gosh, this team has synergy, and so let me make sure that I'm playing with them the best I can.
Right. Okay, well, if you're for long-term use, technically Spider-Man does outweigh Punisher, but at this point,
Hmm.
Spider-Man he's a weird character because he's the first character they give you. When the first game first came out, he was pretty decent. Then he fell off really fast. Then they buffed him.
Hmm.
Then they fell off again. Then they buffed him again, and now he's falling off again. And he just got kicked out of his home team. He doesn't have a team anymore. He's kind of just
Hmm.
wandering free. I don't know how long this will be. Will they give him another home? Will they give him another buff? Honestly, probably. So he's weirdly
Okay.
enough not the worst character to build. I mean, level 75 might not have been necessary, but there's worse decisions to make. You got the whole Wakandans. You have a really high crossbones for this point. Um,
I can't remember why. I it wasn't so much that I liked the character. It's just I think it was just I got him to 7 stars quickly, and so I just kept pouring into him.
well,
I think that's
hopefully, I don't know what the rest of your roster looks like. Hopefully, we'll have a couple of things that can make something out of that crossbones. Otherwise, he's going to be just kind of sitting there.
hmm.
Saber Tooth, I see you have a Magneto up there, so I'm assuming that you built your Saber Tooth up for your actual Brotherhood team, like the original Brotherhood team. But
Yes.
he does have use there. Then he eventually gets some use with the Marauders, so he does have multiple uses. Not a bad character. Um,
Hmm.
I mean I use Saber Tooth every day. Technically, I use every character every day, but I legitimately have a good reason to use Saber Tooth every day other than just repetitively pressing buttons for Blitz. Night Nurse.
Okay.
Night Nurse, that is a lot of resources spent on a Night Nurse.
That was at the beginning of the game. And yeah, I didn't, I wasn't looking on YouTube or looking at guides or whatnot. I was just filling it out the way I was filling it out. And so, yeah, Night Nurse, hey, she's my healer and whatever. And so I built her up pretty big. Yeah.
Fortunately, they did say that they were going to do a Night Nurse rework. No idea when that's happening, but hopefully that'll get some use out of there. But I'm assuming right now that Night Nurse literally does nothing on your roster.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't use her very, very often. Well, I don't use her often at all. I can't think of the last time I played her.
Yeah, that's where mine is right now. I think she's just chilling on the Blitz team with Ultron because Ultron's winning it anyways.
Yeah, well, hopefully I will get him soon. Well, sooner or later, because like you said, my tier 13s, yeah.
Right. A character that's routinely one of the first recommended for Dark Dimension 2 is next. That's Star-Lord. You could bring him up. It would help you in Dark Dimension 2, but you don't have the character that he works with, so it really wouldn't be doing a whole lot. And that would be bringing up a character just for Dark Dimension 2, when you could probably find characters. I do know you mentioned at least one character that will be on your roster somewhere that has more long-term use than Star-Lord will. Killmonger, again, with the Wakandans. So you have a few built teams that are honestly pretty fine where they are. They're going to give you some value while you kind of tweak the edges and tweak some edges and some random pieces here and there to actually get you in a solid position, where the teams that you kind of are relying on now are just kind of stable parts that are helping but aren't really being relied upon. Almost like in a sport, like a star player becoming like a good role player. That's kind of the goal with what I'm seeing right now, is turn what you're kind of relying on into just the filling out where you need them. Okay, you got Magneto. That's a perfect spot for Magneto to be. Some people would say level him up to 64 so you could do his passive, but Brotherhood doesn't really need that right now. They'll get you some more offense. They're not going to be doing much anywhere else in the game for you, so I don't know if I would recommend that.
Okay.
I'm doing pretty fine. Okay, so you got JJ. Again, built
it's funny. When I was doing that, like I said, I was looking at the defenders. And so when I was first playing the game, I'm like, okay, these defenders, they got offense. But then JJ, as much as I like her character, it's like she does a punch and then what's this energy mess? Why do we even care about that? So, she kind of went the other side while I was leveling everyone else. And then I found why and how useful that was later on.
I mean, at this point, I really wouldn't recommend building her up anymore. Like, she's going to do the job at that point. I mean, she's level 72, so her focus and resistance is going to be insane. Anyways, I'm seeing the foundations here of some Avengers, which actually will be pretty helpful given everything that's been reworked. And I'm not seeing a lot of some teams, so you're going to probably actually be wanting, at this point, to be using the Wave 1 Avengers, maybe. Not positive, but I haven't seen the rest. But they're dangerous, so that might be some interesting stuff. You got Storm built up. Okay, that's the first X-Men I've seen, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, and interesting as the first.
The thing was, I wasn't really interested that much in the X-Men characters that they had at that time, and so she just kind of got built up because she was there, and like I said, I got four stars, and so I was like, well, you know what, whatever. And so I with my resources, I wasn't my resource management. I was a bit frivolous,
right?
As I'm sure you get. Yeah, hey, gotta this character, so I'll level this one up, and oh yeah, my shield medic, gotta level that one up, and so that's I've become a bit more frugal with my resource management now, but when I first started the game, and for a long time, I was not.
Yeah, that's this little spot. I'm seeing Wave 1 Avengers and a bunch of just random characters that were kind of built that don't really have a spot on your roster. Like I'm seeing Shield Medic, but I've seen no place where she fits. I'm seeing Storm. I don't really see any place where she fits. Now I'm seeing Thanos. Thanos actually, you have the Guardian, so he does work very well with the Guardians, at least. He has a home as long as you have some cosmic characters. Scientist Supreme, another character who you have built. I haven't seen the rest of your roster yet, but that at least she has some values outside of AIM, but not a ton anymore. Ant-Man, like you have a lot of pieces without the full puzzle is kind of what I'm seeing here.
No, I totally understand. And like I said, the reason, the big reason for that was just, like I said, sort of frivolous with the resources because I didn't understand resource management and how that would affect me later. Right. And like you said about running out of gold. And so, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Seeing your levels, there just seemed to be wherever you brought them up to and then just stopped. Like a level 72 character. The only time that I had a level 72 character was when I was literally level 72 because that was the maximum level. Like they just moved the cap up and I had moved my main arena team up one level every time I leveled up. So seeing level 72s, level 68s, at that point, once you get to 60, the main reasons I'm doing it is just for gear tiers or ability levels. So if I need to upgrade an ability, so I'll have some 64s, I'll have some, I guess 64s, and then 60, 64, 70, and then 71s, and then 75. Tends to be how it goes. Like a level 65 Ant-Man, that's a lot of gold and training mats that you could have used somewhere else. A level, what on earth is that? Well, 68 Storm without an X-Men team to use her on? Probably resources that could have gone elsewhere, at least after the 60. So, obviously, it's not like I can say now go back and just unlevel all these characters. And the point isn't just to like make fun of people for what they've already done. It's just seeing what mistakes were made so that going forward you can kind of have a better understanding how to be more efficient and seeing where it could have been done a little better. Because obviously this is the roster you have. The goal is to get you as good as you can possibly get going forward from this point. So there's obviously some building blocks that we have to work with. But let's see what we got down below. I think I saw a couple of tops of the heads that are going to be... Yeah, okay. So we have Yondu, who is homeless, but one of the better early on characters. He does help you villain campaign, mystic campaign, cosmic campaign. At the beginning of the game, he was a great character, so I'm not going to be too concerned about the Yondu being there. The level 70, I'm assuming I'm reading that right. That I'm a little concerned about. Pyro.
Yeah.
Pyro.
Yeah, let's just not talk about the level 70 Ravager.
Yeah,
Stitcher.
We're going to have to just mention that briefly, but what I'm seeing here, you got a Pyro at level 57. You do have a Magneto, you have a Saber Tooth, you have a Mystique, so you're running a Brotherhood team, but you don't have your full Brotherhood team at least at level 60. So my recommendation, just maybe not the number one priority, but this is the first team that I'm seeing you fully have but not fully ready. I'm also seeing Hulk in the same situation, but level 60, tier 9, 6664. And that team will function significantly better because I know at level 57 he doesn't have all the T3 abilities. So I don't know which ones you won't have, but you will notice a significant jump up at least from the T3 abilities.
Okay.
Shocker. You have parts of a Sinister 6 here, which obviously is very important just for unlocking legendaries even. They're getting a big jump up right now, but I'm not as high on Sinister 6 as a team on its own, so that's fine. Hulk with the Wave 1 Avengers, because I'm seeing the first Asgardian I'm seeing is Hela. Obviously a great character, but I'm not seeing a full Asgardian team. So I have some things I'll need to see to give a little bit better advice total, but I'm seeing parts of things right now. Stitcher, there's no reason for Stitcher to be up that high. I think that covers it.
I will take my shots. Yes, I wish I could tell you. I have no words.
Right.
Yeah, we're just gonna close our eyes, hang our head, and walk away from that.
We got Miles sitting there. Miles does have two full teams, but I haven't seen either of those teams built yet, so he really doesn't have much. I mean, he has three technical teams you could use him on, but mainly two.
Yeah, what? Young Avengers, Spider Verse. What's the third?
Just generic hero brawlers, which is basically Young Avengers without Squirrel Girl.
Oh, okay.
You can also use him as
Okay.
like just a bit of a tank disruptor on some mixed match teams. He has decent uses, but at the same point, he doesn't have. From what I'm seeing, he doesn't have anything within your roster ready for him, so shouldn't really be a priority.
Okay.
You have quite a few characters that seem to be on this leveling issue, where they're just a couple levels too low for something, or you leveled them past where you needed to get them. Like that Mystique, what's that, 58? So this is a fully functioning team that you have with your Brotherhood. But I'm assuming it's probably not doing as well as you would like. Probably because you're missing important key abilities. Just because it's 2 levels off or 3 levels off on the Pyro. And that could actually be a pretty big help. But now we have Hela.
Okay.
Hela is an interesting character here. Because Hela is actually one of the best characters for Dark Dimension 3. So she's a character that even outside of Asgardians is worth the resources, because you're going to be using her not only for eventually the Asgardians, but you can use her on a lot of different mysticy, control-y type teams. For a while, you can use her in Arena. For a while, you can definitely use her in Raids. Some people still use her in Ultimus 7. I find better options, but she's not a bad option for that. You will probably use her in Dark Dimension. You could use her in Dark Dimension 2. You should use her in Dark Dimension 3 eventually. And beyond that, she is used to unlock 2 different legendaries that are both good and important legendaries. So if you were able to farm her at the bare minimum, actually, Hela is a character that you would want to farm all the way up to 7 stars eventually, and tier 14 eventually, just because of all the different things that she can do. The weird part is, the main reason that Hela is so good in the Dark Dimensions is Greg. I don't know if you know who Greg is, but
Yes, I do.
you do. All right. For those that don't, Greg is her little undead Asgardian summon, and for some reason, when you get into Dark Dimensions, those people love killing Greg. They just love it. I'm on DD3. You will find some really hard-hitting people just focusing down Greg after Greg after Greg, and the more times that Greg gets hit, the less times the rest of your team gets killed. So she will actually help you go significantly further. I'm sure you've dealt with her ultimate just being straight up devastating. So she is a good character that would be worth the resources even on her own. But at this point, I guess...
My issue is... I'm sorry.
No, carry on.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No problem. What's up?
I was just going to say that my issue is that I'm stuck on Villains 7-1.
Okay.
And so I couldn't get to where I could farm her.
All right.
And that's been the bane of my existence right now, is trying to get past that node so I can get to her farm node and then go into her.
Okay, well, depending on what we find with the rest of your roster, I can help you with Villains 7, because you're at least at 7-1, so I don't need to worry about the Hero 7. But I can help you with 7-1 through 7-3. I can send you a couple links afterwards, if depending on what I see, or I can just tell you who you're going to need to build to make that happen. And then I can also send you a couple of options for Villains 7-6, which is the important node, of course. But you have Hela, which actually does make things easier. But the gear would be good. But at this point, we'll see what we have fully there. But knowing that you need help on 7-1, I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Villains 7-1 through 6. And then I'll try and draw a star, but I failed. Oh well. Okay. So I'm seeing a bullseye, but right below that there's Taskmaster. So obviously you were going a bit on the mercenary route. Based on what you're saying earlier, I'm assuming you went into a war attack and you got absolutely murdered by the mercs, and you're like, maybe I should build that team.
that was part of it. The other part is just Taskmaster, pound for pound. I think is my most favorite character.
Fair enough.
At least on the villain side, yeah, just period, just as a character. I mean, first appearance, can't wait to see him in the Black Widow movie. I mean,
Yeah.
Taskmaster, I loved what he could do. I mean, I've been reading books with him since I was a kid. I mean, don't get me started talking about him because it'll be 2 hours before I'll stop.
All right. Well, I'll be fair. To be fair, Taskmaster is a good character. The Mercs are a good war defense, but outside of Taskmaster, they're outside of war. They kind of fall off. But Taskmaster is a very interesting character. First off, he is top 3, top 4 for possible balanced PvP options. So, just if you are struggling with those milestones, you can just increase your usage of Taskmaster, and you'll see what he does. But a lot of people, not something I have actually. Wait, actually, it is. I do have him in my Dark Dimension 3 right now, but that's for my second run. But a lot of people have been saying he's one of the best skill characters to bring up to Dark Dimension 3 because he's in a very light trait. There are very few good skill characters, and he can help out with Global as well. And Global is a section where, just make it clear, Global sucks. It's just using Dark Phoenix over and over and over again for more than a month every day, just hoping to get her special to go off. So any Global character you can get is a good one. So especially being a Taskmaster fan, maybe he would be a character you would want to actually bring up to tier 14 eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, that would be that he would be he would be my my Stitcher. Yeah, he would be the guy that whatever, be damned, whatever, don't really care about this stat and that stat and what usage. He would be the character that if there was a way to farm him, I would probably just be doing it just because.
All right, well then in that case, if you're going to do it just because, you might as well do it up to tier 14 so you get that use there. He is a solid character that will have value, and that could help. If you get him up there quick, you could help out your what I'm seeing with your roster, a very, very long Dark Dimension 2 run. I've seen a couple of characters that you have that could help you there, but it's not looking fast. Okay, so we have So Taskmaster, not a bad character. You can definitely take advantage of your fandom there. You got Deadpool, who is he I'm pretty sure he's the first X-Force character I've seen.
Yes.
So right now he'd probably be chilling out with the Miss Marvel I see just to his right there on kind of a hero brawler team where you could throw the Miles and the Spider-Man for the time perhaps, but I'm also starting to see some other characters. But you got some interesting things going on. You got a bit more Sinister Six. You got your Wasp to go with the Ant-Man to do, I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're together at least. You got Fury. I'm seeing a bit more Asgardians. So I'm assuming this does mean you do have an Asgardian team then.
Yes, it does. It's the lowest one is
Heimdall.
A Heimdall. So Heimdall, excuse me. But yeah, I got them all.
Okay, so at least that does mean you have that. So Thor's probably going to go with that. So he won't be on the Wave Avengers, but you'll have a Wave Avengers kind of as a hold me over for the rest of the characters because you're not going to really have another use for Cap. You don't have another use for Black Widow or Hawkeye, or at least you certainly shouldn't. Based on the fact you were talking about whether you should build up power armor, I'm assuming that means you have a solo Iron Man and you also have Hulk. So you do have a good set of 5 characters for the time being that you can use. So there, and then you have Thor with the Asgardians. You got Taskmaster and Bullseye. So I'm seeing parts of good teams here. Fury, obviously you can do the war defense, but he has fallen off a ton. Also, again,
I still have problems with him being beaten by him. So wherever he's fallen off, the way my roster is, he's enough to kick me in the can. So right now he has my respect, at least until I build up some other teams.
Well, yours won't be doing the same thing to anyone at level 54, that's for sure. We have more of this whole random leveling issue with some characters built too high, some
Way
built
up.
too low. Is that a 65 Wasp? Let's go
Yeah.
with that 65 Ant-Man. So those 5
Yes.
levels, if you spread them out between Fury and Thor and Sif, you have a much more functional roster. You're saying you're having issues with Fury. I'm assuming you're having issues with Fury Coulson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Which means the part that you're missing is you're going to be using the Brotherhood 1.0 and you don't have the Brotherhood 2.0 part of it. So you don't have the Blob and Toad ready to go. Because that's just the easy fix to dealing with that. If there's no Coulson, that Fury team will be easily beaten by the Brotherhood members you already have. Okay. Here's the character.
Okay. As we get lower, you'll see some more Brotherhood.
Right. Here's a very interesting character there. Carnage. Carnage is a very, very good character. Especially right now, they just announced 2 more symbiotes. Well, we know there are 2 more symbiotes at the minimum coming to the game. And with his passive, the symbiotes are prone to be one of the top 2 teams in the game overall. And you got him at 5553 at level 70. Okay, see this leveling? You bring him up to level 70, but you don't even finish his T3 abilities. It's confusing. Very confusing.
Well, again, that was something that I didn't. I'm starting to have a better understanding now, but a lot of the time when I was doing this, I just, like I said, I was kind of haphazard, not understanding how those correlated.
Right.
So, but like I said, I'll take my licks. Yeah, I just haphazard and just dumping resources where they maybe not needed to go, and then lacking where they needed to go.
I was going to give you credit because he is actually a good character to have built up to level 70. Because the symbiotes...
I will take that credit.
Symbiotes, especially Carnage and Symbiote Spider-Man, are 2 characters you're going to need in Dark Dimension 3. And by need, I mean...
Okay.
You will not beat Dark Dimension 3 without Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage. Unless you're willing to spend about a year just doing with Symbiote Spider-Man solo. Which, if my knowledge is correct, someone did it with Symbiote Spider-Man and Punisher, and it only took him about $30,000 for the Power Core refreshes. So...
yeah, we'll leave that one.
We'll not go with the $30,000 off options. So... Carnage, another one that you can get very good use out of the gear. Finishing off his T3 abilities is very essential. And T4ing his passive makes them work pretty good makes them work really good as a Guardian counter if you know how to play it. And will also make the team very, very powerful. And again, like I said, Dark Dimension 3, any of the Dark Dimensions, and Raids. But going with that is going to mean Symbiote Spider-Man at the bare minimum.
Okay.
So level 70, it worked out for you here.
Like I said, I'll take that win.
So we got that. Mysterio there. There's the Symbiote Spidey that's going to go there. Because the passive on Symbiote Spidey and the passive on Carnage is possibly the best 2-person synergy in the entire game. Because it makes that trait of Symbiote insanely powerful, where you don't even have to have a good character. If they are a symbiote, they will be incredibly powerful on that team.
Okay. Symbiote Spidey. So he needs the passive up, and so does Carnage.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to give you an extra 20% max health for all symbiotes, and then both he and Carnage heal symbiotes repetitively. Especially in Raids and Dark Dimension 3. So if you can bring Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage up to Tier 13 before you finish your Dark Dimension 2 run, that's going to speed up everything. Like, those 2 will be lightning fast for you. Okay, so here we have... Okay, now this is where it's getting back to confusing. We have 2 more AIM characters. Monstrosity and Security. So that should help you a bit on Villain 7-1. So that's giving me at least a direction to help you with on that. You have Quake, who kind of was amazing and then fell off. and now she's a solid part of the Inhumans team. But I'm not seeing the Inhumans team, and I know you don't have Black Bolt based on what you've said, and seeing your Asgardians, so she's kind of just chilling for now.
Yeah.
Minerva.
Yeah, chilling at 60.
Okay.
Heck.
Minerva
was a character that I heard would be good, and so I started leveling her.
All right.
She's not farmable, so I was kind of stuck where she was as far as the stars go.
Can I see the abilities? I'm just making sure of something here. Okay. What you're going to want. Minerva is, first off, by all intents and purposes, the singular best character for Dark Dimension 2, which may not technically be true at this moment, but she is definitely up there because of her ultimate. Her ultimate steals, 15% of the health of all enemies? So you have enemies that are going to take you, 15% of health from all enemies. You have enemies that have 500,000 health. Well, 15% of that is gone every time she uses her ultimate. So that is going to be a huge help for Dark Dimension 2 and Dark Dimension 3. She really is a good character. Those star levels obviously are helpful, but they're not necessary for her to do what she's there to do in those type situations. Just the ultimate every once in a while speeds up your process a lot, and in Dark Dimensions, it'll bring your team, if everyone has 1 hit point left and she uses that ultimate, your entire team will be at full health right afterwards.
Okay, I guess I had a misunderstanding of the importance of stars as opposed to abilities and where the tiers are.
It depends on the character.
So I thought that because
because some characters, they're there because of their stats. For instance, Black Bolt, he hits really hard, but if he doesn't have the stars, he's not going to do that. Minerva's there because of a percentage of health of the enemies. It doesn't, if she is 2 stars, 1 star, 7 stars, the enemy's health pool doesn't change. She's still stealing just as much health. Her revive doesn't change based on her stats. Her kit is the reason that she's around. But the very important thing to remember here for efficiency, Minerva should be brought up to level 6, 6, 6, 4 with abilities, no higher on any of them. All of those T4 abilities are completely not worth it. But she is also the most important tech character for Dark Dimension 3. So a character that, even at low star, will provide you a lot of value, literally from the ultimate and that special. And that passive will be very nice for you because of the constant healing. So there's some good value there. You could have built some good teams with that, but they're not meaning as much going forward. But there's still good value on that overall.
Okay.
So Minerva is a good, interesting point here to have. And the roster will pop back up. All right, we're good. We got some more aim. We have Invisible Woman. We got Psylocke, so a bit more X-Men, a bit more Sinister Six. Blob, okay. Did you have Juggernaut built?
He's in there somewhere.
Okay.
I believe, yeah. The thing was, I know this is going to sound silly, but Juggernaut, even though he's a Brotherhood, he's not a mutant, and so I was Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and I guess I kind of got in the space of, I want the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants as opposed to Juggernaut, so I wasn't building him up for I guess that silly reason.
Okay.
Now, that was a while ago, so I've learned a bit since then, but that was why he wasn't built up.
Well,
I just really interesting.
You're having issues with Nick Fury and Coulson. Blob is the better tank to have in... Well, Blob and Juggernaut. You're going to want both Blob and Juggernaut. But having Blob built up is a good start. The other character you're going to need is Toad. The issue is those two are... Toad and Blob will be replacing, I believe, the 2 highest of your Brotherhood. 2 of your 3 highest, which will be Saber Tooth and Mystique, which is where it gets a little interesting on that part. But overall here, everything kind of makes sense. Invisible Woman doesn't really have a team from what I've seen on your roster so far, but I'm seeing them right below, so that's a good option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, we got that. We have Aim Assaulter. So we've seen Aim Secured, we've seen Aim Monstrosity, we've seen Graviton, we've seen Scientist Supreme, and we're seeing Aim Assaulter. You have the full Aim team relatively built. So that is going to be the advice I'm going to give you for villain 7-1 through 7-3 is you have the Aim team.
That's actually funny that you said that because that's why they're there.
Right.
I just started building them out. Like I said, I was hitting that, and I was hitting that block, and so I started building them up.
Right.
I think I saw a video where you did something similar with Red Skull.
Yes.
I didn't have Red Skull at the time, so I had Graviton. So I saw something about Aim and Graviton, and so then I started building them up.
Hydra with Red Skull is the team that can do it at the lowest power, but if you don't have Red Skull, that's not going to happen ever. So the second best is Aim.
Think I just recently.
So that's a good call.
Yeah, I didn't have Red Skull at the time. I think I finally got it just a bit ago.
To reliably beat it, you'll need your Aim at about 150 to 160,000, if my memory is correct. Hydra, you can do it about 120,000, because that's what I did on a video.
Wow.
Hydra Red Skull 3-starred at 120k, which was kind of insane, but it is a possibility. But without that, if you already have the Aim built up, just make sure you get all the T3 abilities on them and just build them up enough where you can just get through, because there's no need to 3-star those. You just need to somehow beat them. So 60, 666 4s, tier 9 should be able to do it, but you may have to make a bit of improvements here and there, but you're not far.
Let me see what happens after you look at the last little bit, and then then we can go from there. But yeah, I was working on Fantastic Four just because I just started, and I did the Legendary because I like Fantastic Four.
Good reason.
Yeah, but I haven't invested a lot into them yet.
We got Loki, we got Coulson, now we got the rest of the Fantastic Four, and you have the rest of your Shield team, which is way power balanced weird because of the massive medic you have. You got Mordo, who's a great character, level 48. Again, just some weird numbers, weird level numbers. But we've talked about that.
The numbers. Even with today, I've learned a lot about numbers. So the numbers are definitely going to be off.
Yeah.
But going forward, there's going to be a difference. So I'm appreciating this big time. Although I'm taking the blows to my chops. I'm taking them because they're well deserved.
I'm not trying to be harsh about anything. Just pointing out things that I'm seeing here. Like
no problem. No problem.
Mordo is one of the characters that will actually give you a lot more value than you'll realize. I don't know how you're doing on all the campaigns in general, but anyone that is villain, mystic, cosmic, that gives you a triple whammy of good use. Plus, he also unlocks Phoenix, which is great, and he's part of Supernatural, which is, I consider, the most underrated team just because they're super versatile. So he does provide you a fair amount of value, so just something to see there. Cable is the second X-Force member I'm seeing here, but you don't have the rest built up to a decent level, so there's not much point in doing anything there. Heimdall, again, just the levels and the gear tiers that we've discussed. And you got a couple of hand characters. Considering who you don't have built up, you don't really need your hand built up at this point. They're not doing anything. Other than Relicons.
I was not building them up. Yeah, I wasn't building hand up.
Okay, we got Falcon, who is part of the Power Armor, but he is probably the most versatile member of Power Armor, so that's not bad. There we go.
Yeah, I just started hearing about how versatile Falcon was. Kind of took him for granted.
Unfortunately, he is slowing down now, but especially right now, from what I'm seeing, you don't really have a set stuff that you can use in Ultimus 7 very well. Falcon is on some of the original suggestions for it with some weird hybrids, so he could help you there, but you probably can find other characters that are going to do it just as well. So you have a Namor built who they just decided to say isn't necessary anymore. I'm still upset about the whole She-Hulk situation.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing they could have possibly done with She-Hulk. Like, I would have rather her not come to the game than what they're doing, but that's a different issue.
Oh, I'd love to have that discussion. I'll have to, if you do a video, I'm definitely interested in
Well,
why.
I actually have a video
She-Hulk to me is
coming out. I have no idea when, but
okay.
being recorded in
Search it
about
up.
30 minutes to an hour range with someone else. And we're going to probably be talking about She-Hulk a fair bit and get really sidetracked.
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to that one.
We got Venom here, another symbiote. Symbiotes, amazing. Ultimus 7, Dark Dimension 3, symbiotes, those three, plus the two that are coming, they can handle pretty much anything in the game. Shield Operative, Shield
Okay.
Trooper, Toad, there's the last part of Brotherhood 2.0, who, again, if you're specifically working on a war offense team to beat out the Fury Shield team with Coulson, he's a huge part. But how much of resources do you
Okay.
want to dedicate to just beating one specific team on your war offense when there's more pressing matters? He probably would be a little less important at this point.
Okay.
America Chavez, good for the Young Avengers. Swarm, good with a couple of things here and there. Right. But nothing is really screaming as, why do you not have this character leveled, or this character really needs to go up there. Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo, Juggernaut, obviously, because of Brotherhood, but we don't really need to say a whole lot there. But this is the Yo-Yo talk. You said that you saw my roster review with Mr. Free to Play. Did you watch the whole roster review?
I did. Let me think. What? I think I remember you saying something about. Was it Yo-Yo though? I remember you speaking about a character over and over, and maybe that was that Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo would have. I think I would have mentioned Yo-Yo. She would be a character that I would mention over and over. Based thinking about his roster, I would have mentioned Mr. Sinister, and I would have mentioned Black Order. I think those are the big ones.
I remember.
The thing about
Mr. Sinister. I think you said something about Yo-Yo.
yeah,
too.
Yo-Yo would fall into that same window. She is a character. Yes, she has the home team of Inhumans. And if you just look at it, you don't have the Inhumans. Why worry about Yo-Yo? Well, first off, Yo-Yo actually works in Ultimus 7, even at 2 stars. Big detail there. But Yo-Yo, you can put on any team that you can put together, as long as it doesn't have another protector, and she will make that team instantly better. Her passive is one of the very best passives in the entire game. Anytime an enemy takes a turn, when Yo-Yo is the only protector on the field, they instantly have offense down. You pair that up with someone like Shuri, who gives defense up often, and the enemy is going to be doing... They're going to be doing 50% less damage, and you're going to be taking 50% less damage. That's like 25% damage that you would have been taking otherwise. As the point of keeping your team alive, that's insane. And then once you get Black Bolt eventually, obviously she works really well with Black Bolt because she's great with the Inhumans, but those would be the core two, would be Black Bolt and Yo-Yo. So that's the thing I always mention about Yo-Yo. A lot of people don't build her because they don't have the full team. She doesn't need the full team to be useful. You can make Ultimus 7 teams around her. You can do a lot with her.
Okay. So she was similar to what you were saying about Minerva.
Yeah.
Where it's not so much the stars, it's the package.
Right.
You know,
Now, obviously,
her kit that doesn't work.
she, at that star level, which I will attest to greatly because I used her on Ultimus 7. I mean, I still do every day. She's not going to do any... She's not there to do damage. But her standing there will keep your team alive significantly longer. The issue is she will die faster at 2 stars, but she will get you through more nodes than not having someone, because taking 25% of the damage is a good thing. And then when you do get Black Bolt, combining Yo-Yo and Black Bolt, that's going to be a huge jump forward for things like late game raids. So that's the thing I probably was saying repetitively on Mr. Free to Play's roster review. We got Juggernaut.
Yo-Yo, Mr. Sinister. I remember you saying Mr. Sinister several times.
I think the three things that I mentioned on his roster were Yo-Yo, Mr. Sinister, and Black Order. I think those were the three.
Yeah.
We got.
Yeah, definitely Black Order. Oh, wait a minute. Here's Mr. Sinister.
All right.
Sounds like I'm
Okay.
I'm gonna get a threat.
Here's where we get some interesting things. We have a few Krees, and we had Ronin. We just passed. Ronin, not an amazing character. The Kree team, not an amazing team, but Ronin has villain Mystic Controller, which and Cosmic as well. Villain Mystic Controller Cosmic. So he's going to be there, unlocking you your Phoenix. So needed on the stars, which I believe you have 6, based on what I can see. Plus, he actually can work for the villain 7-6 node, which I recorded a weird team of just people that you wouldn't expect, that you kind of needed for other things, that can come together and do it just for resource saving purposes. So not a horrible option up there. But then you got Aim Infector. You don't need Aim Infector. you just don't. You got...
Yeah.
You got a couple of Merc. You got a Merc. You've got the rest of a Kree team, and you have Elsa. Here's the parts. You have Aim Infector at the same point that you have Emma Frost, Mr. Sinister, and Elsa Bloodstone. Okay, Elsa Bloodstone doesn't really fit in with Mr. Sinister and Emma Frost, to be fair, based on the levels that they'd be at. Emma Frost and Mr. Sinister are two characters that, again, fit in the same thing I said about Yo-Yo. You can use them anywhere. Emma Frost is a Dark Dimension 3 character at this point. She has proven that she is one of the best characters to bring up to Dark Dimension 3. For a while, Mr. Sinister was the second best mutant to go up to DD3. He just got dropped down to third best mutant for DD3 because of Emma Frost. And pretty much anyone that's good in Dark Dimension 3 you can use at high levels elsewhere. Obviously, Mr. Sinister and Emma Frost are a great war defense combination. They go very well together. You can also use both of those characters in Ultimus 7 if you wanted to. There's a lot of versatility there, but they're both, especially Dark Dimension 3 and Emma, you're definitely going to want them. But Dark Dimension 2 even, huge helps. Elsa Bloodstone, the reason I mentioned her, I love Elsa. She has great comics, first off. But Supernatural...
Yeah. I'm a fan of her.
Supernatural, very underrated. She's fun to use in the game, really is the main reason, but she's good. She is good. But not too much of a crime. The Emma, the Mr. Sinister, and the Yo-Yo were significantly bigger issues.
I'm making note.
Okay, we have Nobu here at 6 stars. Again, Nobu, main use is unlocking that Phoenix. Yeah, he actually, I think he was in the video, the weird team I put together for Villain 7-6, so you could use him for that. But if you don't have to, you probably have better options. Don't use him for it. Karnak, only really necessary once you get your Inhumans. Hand Assassin, you could use to unlock your Phoenix, because I don't remember the star levels on your Loki and your Hela. But we're going to work on getting you the Hela built up or start up. The Loki is another option because you do want that Phoenix. Because Phoenix, unfortunately, is the one of the two characters that I will say you will not beat Dark Dimension 3 without those characters at this point.
Okay.
So the unlock of Phoenix is quite important there. Crystal, again, only really need once the Inhumans come around. Ravager Bruiser is literally the only character that if you have at higher than level 1, I will say that was a massive mistake in resources bringing him to level 2 for like 2 gold. If you ask me, he is the worst character in the game.
Wow.
I'm pretty confident in saying that. We got Winter Soldier there. Again, I think I see Zemo down below, so Winter Soldier, Zemo, Crossbones, you got a good combo with that, but if you're not going to build up that Zemo team right now, he can chill there for a while. Cyclops will make your team better once you get Phoenix. You'll get a better X-Men team there. Boomer's not really doing a whole lot. Scarlet Witch, actually a pretty good character, with the Supernatural especially. Can help you a bit with the Mystic campaign, which is good, but there's nothing super insane at this spot. Again, Bruiser being that high is my biggest concern.
Fair enough.
Now here, okay, this row, you have one really bad character, one character that many people consider the worst named character in the game, one character who just fits in with some versatility, and then two characters that are really good, all on the same line.
Uh-oh.
Zemo obviously Zemo is considered right now the best PvP character for balanced PvP. I don't know if I think he's number one, but he's probably top 5, and he makes the Zemo Winter Soldier Crossbones combo with Hydra Grenadier and Drax really deadly in war.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doctor Strange, one of the, again, hero cosmic mystic, but one of the best campaign characters, and then Supernatural is a very good team because they do so many different things. But then Nebula, there's no use for Nebula in this game. There's no use for Handblade Master. Kingpin, he stands there and gives people offense up after they take their turns. He's not really doing a whole lot. So, and then right below that, I'm seeing this next row. I'm seeing 3 good characters in that next row. You've got Captain Marvel, who is literally a team on her own if you put her on war defense. Captain Marvel and a bunch of leftovers will steal you some war defense wins. But guess not technically the most necessary character. Very good character. Very, very good character. Colossus. Without Phoenix, he's not doing anything. With Phoenix, insane.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider, one of the best options for heroes 7-1 through 7-3. Ironically, again, Supernatural, good, really good character actually. Many people bring him up to Dark Dimension 3. He's not a bad option. He's not necessary though. Mm-hmm. But Merc Sniper, do I even use? Yeah, I think I use Merc Sniper, but you don't need to. Hand Sentry, just the hand team. You don't really need them. Mm-hmm. So we got Merc Lieutenant. Okay. So you do have Squirrel Girl unlocked. So you could build a Young Avengers team slowly and surely. They're not the most essential, but they're going to do good things once you get them built up. They're kind of more of a side project, honestly. So that's good at least. AIM Researcher. You built up all of the AIM characters to certain levels.
I'm sorry.
You don't need every AIM character built. You only need 5. And none of them should be AIM Infector. So at this point, you don't really need that Researcher. That Domino is not... Again, with the full X-Force, you kind of have... Eventually, you're going to want to farm them all up for Doc Ock. But you're not... At this point, there's more important priorities than your X-Force. Or any team that is literally there for one thing. You're going to want teams that are going to be doing multiple things for you, that are going to help carry you later on in the game. And building up a war offense team is not the big play. And you do have Red Skull, which means you could have gone the Hydra route, but at this point you already went the AIM route, so you don't really want to spend all that resources to get it to pass that point just to do basically the same thing you could have done with the other team for less than half the resources. And the only thing that they're doing other than villains 7-1 through 7-3 is going to be war defense. So I wouldn't put your Dark Dimension runs, your late game raids, your late game campaigns to the side to build you up a war defense team. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I totally gotcha.
Okay, we have your lone, I guess you have Thanos, but your real lone Black Order character, the rest of your Hydra, all your Hydra again are built, but technically Hydra you can do that with because Hydra Grenadier also has a home, so that's decent. Strife, very good with the Emma and Mr. Sinister and that Marauders team, but if you're don't have the rest of the team built, you don't need him built. X-23, actually, she's not bad. You can use X-23 for more things, but you don't really need to. So at this point, a lot of the characters that I'm seeing on this screen, you don't need built up right now. They're not the highest priorities you have. You can use the resources elsewhere and really focus in on like the characters and teams that are actually going to get you to the next point. Ultimus, you definitely don't need that. So now seeing what you don't have unlocked, you got Corvus, who will help eventually once you get Black Order. Beast, who makes your X-Men better, but you don't have it, so what's it matter? You got Black Bolt, you got Electro. You have Ultron, who you're currently working towards. You got Doc Ock, who your X-Force is not ready for. You got Cull Obsidian. So you're going to need, before you really can do a Black Order, you're going to need to be able to have all those characters made farmable. So your number one priority at this point should be getting to Villain 7-6 so you can get that Hela farmed up. That is the number one priority. Because Hela is going to help you with everything that I'm going to say that comes now. You're going to need Hela for Phoenix. Phoenix is a huge priority. You're going to need Hela for Black Bolt. Black Bolt is a huge thing. And then Black Bolt is needed to get you Ebony Maw. So you're going to need Hela for literally everything I'm saying.
Yes.
So getting to Villain 7-6 is going to be a huge thing. So once we're off this call, I'm going to send you a couple things. Probably not right after because I need to do something with someone else. I need to do a recording. But that's going to be huge.
Not a problem.
But Phoenix, you're going to need eventually. Ultron, you're going to need. But just that Phoenix, Ultron, Black Bolt, Ebony Maw, those 4 characters are going to carry you a fair bit of the way. Because Phoenix, you will need to bring to tier 14. Ebony Maw, you should bring to tier 14. Ultron and Black Bolt, you do not need to bring that high, but they're going to help you massively in your late game raids and everything like that. And you need Black Bolt to get your Ebony Maw. That's kind of essential. And unfortunately, you kind of need a big Black Bolt to unlock Ebony Maw because the actual legendary event is kind of garbage because you need to use Miss Marvel because you're not going to get your yo-yo there. So that is a really big thing. You definitely need the Hela. So there was quite a few characters that I mentioned were good ones for Dark Dimension 3. And a lot of characters that I mentioned were good for Ultimus 7. I'm not sure how many of those you wrote down, but I would say a good thing that you could do after you get the Hela prepared, start looking at those teams that are going to help you for those late game things. Even if that's not on your mind right now, because that's going to help. If you have a team that will be great for late game Ultimus 7, I don't know which raid you're doing right now, but if the team can do Ultimus 7, it can certainly do Ultimus 6. It can certainly do Ultimus 5. If the team is good for Ultimus 3, it's going to do, or if the team is good for Dark Dimension 3, it's going to be good for Dark Dimension 2. So
well, I got
that type idea is kind of important at this point. You got aim. So overall, just looking at that quick, my math is telling me that's, we got 40, we got 65, we got 88, 109,000, 130,000. So according to some people, 126.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I got a little spreadsheet where I've been keeping them.
Yeah, this is just off me quick looking and guessing on the numbers here. So you have all of those at level 60. That is good. That is an important part. Graviton and Monstrosity could use a little gear, get them to that tier 9. And then at that point, you just make sure you have them all at 6664. And that should be the jump you need to actually deal with Villain 7-1 through 7-3.
Monstrosity. Said tier 9?
Yeah. And then 6664 for all those AIM characters. Or 664 because they're mostly minions, but just those. How much T3 ability materials do you actually have? 220. Okay. What raid do you run?
Let's see. Raid.
So is that?
There's 2 raids
that is running. Ultimus 7. Is that not?
Yes, that
What
is.
percentage do you get in your Ultimate Sevens?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay,
Um, not sure. I'm sorry, I don't
that's
know.
fine. Um, you get your rewards every day for it, though, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Just make sure you're doing your part in your Ultimate 7, getting as many of those T4 abilities as you
Mhm.
can. And with that, fill out your aim team so that you can actually get to the farming node for Hela. On top of that, the other characters that I said, like the most important ones,
Mhm.
kind of build character by character.
Mhm.
And then from that point, you can see where you're most struggling still in the game because you're going to get massive jumps forward by unlocking some of these important characters. And when you start planning for the late game stuff, you'll notice, okay, my arena's struggling a little bit. And then you can take a look at the specific areas that you're struggling. And from there, with the good characters you have, you can figure out teams that are needed to fix the problems. Like, if you really
Okay.
find you're struggling in war offense, yeah, that you can just go right now and you can try and fix everything in your war offense. But that's going to take you so long to just fix war offense, and you're going to fall so far behind in everything else. But if you really get yourself built in a way where you're actually progressing significantly faster, you're going to be able to fix your war
Mhm.
offense really quick by, I don't know, you just realize that you only need one character to get a supernatural team up and running, or you now have your Black Bolt. That's a whole extra team. Like, so you're going to be able to fix the things a lot quicker. So that's the big recommendations I have for you. So Villain 7-6 is the most important thing I'm seeing. You're going to need to get that done. Obviously, do as much as you can in all the challenges. Anything that gets you materials is very important. Like any resources, this game, you need resources. So obviously, your raids, do your best in those. Just make sure you're joining your raids. And doing your part. Get the materials and just invest them in the characters that are actually going to help you with something. Doesn't mean you can't have fun little side
Okay.
projects, but for progressing, you just need to make sure if you're going to spend all of your daily resources on something, what are you getting out of that? Or what are you building towards? Because, yeah, getting an aim team is nice, but the reason that you want this is eventually you can get through those first 3 nodes of the Villains campaign of 7-3, Villain 7, whatever it is, and then you can start working on the Hela node. And once you get that Hela node down, you can farm Hela, you can get Phoenix, and that's going to help you with your Asgardians. I don't remember your star levels on all your Asgardians, actually, but that's going to be a big
Okay.
part. What are they at? You got... You're literally just waiting on that Hela for your Black Bolt.
I that's just about where I was the last time Black Bolt was going through. I just couldn't get Ella, and
Right. Are you
yeah,
able to farm Loki?
yeah.
Okay. So you get Hela and Loki to 6 stars. I believe that's enough for Phoenix, too. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Actually, let's do that real quick, and then what is it? Controller
Villain Mystic
Mystic.
Controller for Phoenix. Yeah, you have Hela is short. Your Loki's a little short, but you have Mordo, Ronin, and Nobu ready. They're ready for the 6-star unlock.
Mhm.
Power level might be a little questionable, but
Yeah,
you should be fine with a bigger Hela, big Loki. You should be good. So
mhm.
that's the big thing is get that villain 7-6, and that's going to be the big piece that is actually going to kind of be like kicking off a big rock rolling, and then it's just going to pick up momentum on momentum for you.
Okay. So that's the plan, right? I guess I owe you a big thanks.
You're welcome.
It was
Glad to help. Do you have any final questions?
No, I think you actually answered them all. After I showed you this and the aim, I think I've got some good notes, and I'm looking forward to moving
All
forward.
right. Um,
Yeah, I'm really
I will
excited.
send you a couple of resources here and there. I said I was mainly sending you stuff for Villains 7 and 7-6, so I don't know which part for showing you how aim works through 7.1 through 7.3 I will do, because I don't have one myself. So I'll look at the resources to see who did something that seemed reliable with the lower powered aim team, because my aim team is, I could go through it, but my aim team's at least 190, 180-ish K, so it's not as consistent, or considering I'm going to try and show you how to do it with less resources. I'll also, I think I have 2 different things where I've done villain 7.6, so I'll send you both of those.
Okay.
Is there anything else that I mentioned that I would be wanting to... Oh, I can send you... I'll send you a quick infographic of just my massive beginner's guide. Just it's kind of a summary. It's not actually anywhere out there right now, but it can give you a bit of an idea of how I recommend people building through the game, so that you can just see... Obviously, you're not at the point where people are going to be doing the first phase, and you didn't really do any of the other phases, but you can kind of see, like, okay, I haven't done anything about that, so maybe I should kind of pay a little more attention to this area, or things like that. So I'll send you that.
Okay.
And yeah, I will probably actually send... I'm thinking now that one of the videos I said I was going to send you is technically not released yet, so you would probably be the first non-me to see that video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait. That's awesome.
It is an unlisted video, which means if I send you the link, you will see it, but otherwise you couldn't find it. So I will send you all that stuff. I appreciate it. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Yep, this was fun, enlightening, a little hurtful. Just kidding. But no, this was cool. I really appreciated it. Like I said, I'm really excited. I can't wait to. I'm gonna actually pop on the 7 and go ahead and do some things there, and then I'm going to work on my aim, guys.
Alrighty, best of luck.
I'm really excited. Oh yeah. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Take care.